Welcome to this week's edition of Smart Counsel for Lunch. I'm Leah Kofos, and I'm one of the attorneys here at the law firm of Samuel, Seward, and Baylor in Dedham, Massachusetts, where we focus our practice in the areas of estate planning, probate, elder law, and estate and trust administration. So the 4th of July is officially past, which means that we are now in summer. Summer's in full swing, all right? That also means that for some of you, your kids, your adult children, are now home from college, which means that you have a full house. This is actually the perfect opportunity for you to talk to them about doing certain estate planning documents of their own. Now, they might not need a will, they probably don't need a trust, depending on what their situation is. But there are 3 documents that they really do need, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So they're all incapacity documents, which means that these documents are really useful for them if for some reason they can't make their own medical decisions or handle their own finances or something like that. So these 3 documents are a health care proxy, a power of attorney, and a HIPAA authorization. All right, those are the big 3 for any young adult, really. Anybody over age 18 needs these documents. The reason is because as soon as somebody turns 18, they're now an adult, right? They're now an adult, which means that they are able to make their own legal decisions, right? Under the law, they're able to make all of their own decisions. Nobody has oversight over those decisions for those new adults. But what happens if they can't make their own decisions? What happens if there's an accident, right? If they're in a car accident or something happens and they're just not able to make their own decisions. Nobody has the ability to do that. You, as their parent, you no longer have the control over those decisions that might need to be made. So what happens, right? If something happens to your adult child and the easiest example is they're in a coma, right? Obviously we hope that none of this actually happens, but say they're in a coma and a decision has to be made, a medical decision has to be made for them, for their benefit. If they don't have a healthcare proxy naming somebody like you to be able to make those decisions for them, giving you the authority to do that, then you're going to have to go to court and petition the court for the permission to make those decisions for them. Same thing. What happens, who pays their bills? Who's able to access their accounts? Nobody, unless they have a power of attorney or unless you go to court and petition the court for that authority. So really what these 3 documents are, again, it's the healthcare proxy, the power of attorney, and the HIPAA authorization. Those 3 documents allow somebody, could be you, could be your spouse, could be an aunt or an uncle, or even an older sibling of your child. It allows somebody to be able to make those decisions for them so that court involvement is completely unnecessary. Okay? The healthcare proxy allows somebody to make the medical decisions. The power of attorney allows somebody to make legal and financial decisions. The HIPAA authorization is also pretty important. It allows all of these people, whoever your child wants, essentially, it allows all of these people the authority to receive medical information if something happens to them. So those 3 documents, hugely important. They could save a lot of time, a lot of emotional and mental energy, and a lot of money, frankly, down the line if something does happen. At least you know that your kid is protected in any type of an emergency with these documents. So super important to have. Now, the reason I'm having this conversation with you right now is because your child is home from school. All right. Often, if a child comes home, stays at home for the summer, goes back to school, time is a very, very hard time for a child to make, take some time away and go to an attorney's office. They're focused on their studies at that point, right? So summer's a perfect opportunity for them to do this. While they're home, talk to them about these documents. They can set up a meeting with us. It'll be a relatively short meeting while we go through all of their options, explain what these documents are. We'll draft the documents. They can sign them before they ever go back to school. Once they go back to school, it's a really good idea to give at least the healthcare proxy and HIPAA authorization to their health center at the school, just so that somebody has a copy of these. Their doctors should always get a copy as well. of the healthcare proxy and HIPAA authorization, but we'll have that conversation certainly when I meet with them. But really, really important time to have this conversation because, again, like I said, they have the time, right? They might be working during the summer. They might be fitting in some beach days during the summer, but regardless, you know that by the time they get back to school, they're going to be protected in the event of any emergency. All right. So, with that said, always feel free to call us if you want to set up a meeting or if they want to set up a meeting with us. We can go over the details certainly then. But in the meantime, enjoy your summer. I hope a lot of you have good trips planned and you enjoy the weather and you get to just kind of relax and soak up the sun a little bit. So feel free, as always, to hit that like and subscribe button below. We put out content every Wednesday, so keep an eye out for that. And as always, take care.